It's amazing to drive it. You can't floor it because somebody will snap their neck in the back of the boat. It just takes off that quickly.
Here with Stephen Heese. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing a little bit of the Chris Craft story, which is, as you mentioned just a moment ago here at Miami Boat Show, is a historic one. And I was listening to you introduce the launch, a classic celebration of 150 years of Chris Craft, and I was thinking how humbling it must be to take on such a storied company.
To be successful in this industry, you need to be a student, a learner, not a knower. The demands of the consumer are constantly changing or evolving. So in order to stay with that, you need to pay attention to that. And I think our team understands that.
And you've actually been at the helm for some very interesting years.
Yes.
In economic crisis and obviously a pandemic and whatnot. But it seems like Chris Craft has come out stronger.
People always want to go boating.
Yeah.
We're blessed for that.
Yeah.
And people appreciate quality, and we have a brand that holds its value. People don't need to be afraid to buy one because they know if ever they want to move into a different model, they can easily liquidate what they own because there's people looking for the pre-owned ones.
I have to say the first boat that I had a lot of experience on, it was a Lancer, I think, from the 70s. My grandfather had one.
Oh, nice.
So we went fishing up at Lake Simcoe up in Canada.
Okay, beautiful place.
You've been there?
Yes.
Describe your time as a kid boating and sailing. I know you sailed on a Hobie Cat.
Grew up in Tampa. My brother and I squandered our youth stuffing around on boats. Nothing flash, aluminum boat with an outboard engine. In those days, boats weren't too reliable, so you needed to learn to work on them. So we learned to work on them. We fished every chance we got and sailed. So I got into racing sailboats, which also are designed to be light, and lots of things break. So if you own a racing sailboat, you know you're always working on it. And that's how I spent my time growing up. And it created a passion for the water and for having fun on the water and for the feeling of freedom that being on the water gives you.
And I think it's grown quite a bit. The industry has grown quite a bit as far as the amount of people getting on the water.
Our industry association does a study every few years on boating participation. It's huge. I mean, there's 12 million boats registered in the U.S.
And those are the ones registered.
Those are the ones that are registered, yeah. And, I think it's like a third of the population went boating in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, on those 12 million boats. So it's very popular. And fishing is the #1 participation sport in the country. So it's very, spending time on the water is it's a uniquely American thing.
Yeah, but very therapeutic as well.
Yeah. Great for your mental health.
Yeah. So there are 12 models that Chris Craft has right now on the market, at least. The way that you run this company, it's taking care of people who work there, who put together the boats, who are looking at all the screws are lined up, a sign that they're handmade. As far as also profitability, which is necessary, how do you look into where to invest into innovation and building the next generation?
Product development is the only thing we really debate inside the company in terms of what the next model is going to be. And we try to let the market speak to that as well. You build a family of products, and then it's easier to see where you need to go. So you have a 30 that's a hit. You do a 34 that's a hit.
Yeah.
And then, the product life cycle is 5-6 years. So you can come back and fill it in with a 28 and a 32. And so we're constantly evolving.
You have a portfolio like that as well, so one might do well and one might do less well.
Well, they're at a different stage of their life.
Yeah.
You manage the product line based on its life cycle. We're introducing 2 or 3 models a year, depending on the size, and we have to make those decisions 2 years earlier or a year and a half earlier because it takes that long to develop the product.
You mentioned just a moment before that an electric boat is in development.
We actually have one here. We've developed it. We have a prototype.
Okay.
And it's here in the Evoa booth.
How is that any different, or is it any different? Because there is a market for that, obviously.
instead of having a gasoline engine, it's got an electric motor, and instead of a fuel tank, it's got a bunch of batteries below the deck, and it's very quiet. It's amazing to drive it. You can't floor it because somebody will snap their neck in the back of the boat. It just takes off that quickly. You know, we want to be on the learning curve of electric, and you can't be on the learning curve if you're not learning. So we decided to engineer an electric boat. Took it out in the market last summer. Did a whole bunch of events together. Consumer input. People loved it. They didn't like the fact that it didn't go for very long in between charges. It ran for about 75 minutes. At 30 miles an hour.
And that's something we've seen from the automobile industry as well, the range anxiety and whatnot. And more infrastructure is getting built up in the electric field. Is Chris Craft involved in that in any way?
When the electric boat can run for 4 hours at cruising speed, I think the cost of it can be similar to that of a gasoline engine. I think electric will win, but until that time, people will keep buying gasoline engines.
Yeah. Well, I think you're making a lot of good ones, and again, from my childhood, from the younger me, I would say thank you as well for.
It's a huge team effort.
Well,
but thank you for saying that.
Nice classic lines on Chris Craft. I recognize this from the 70s as well. Well, from the 80s, really, for me. But I think if there's anything to expect from Chris Craft going forward, other than just doing it well, continuing.
Yeah, you know,
the next 150 years.
We have a design language. We will just keep evolving it.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice speaking to you.
You too.